guys, it's Bree with Califia Candle Company. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I design and print and cut my labels for my candles. So if you're interested, just keep on watching and I hope you enjoy. Before I jump into today's video, I did just want to take a moment to share with you guys about INVENTORA. If you haven't heard of INVENTORA before, it is an all-in-one inventory management system designed for makers like us. So it actually was created by a fellow candle maker, which is awesome because they knew exactly what to put into this app to make it really beneficial for our type of business. They offer a lot of really great features, including cost of goods calculations, low stock material alerts, you can create reports, and so much more. You can even link your e-commerce platform. So I have my Shopify store linked to INVENTORA and it automatically has all of my products in there. One of my favorite features is the production run, and with that, for example, if I set a production run to make 5 Ola Vista candles, INVENTORA is automatically going to pull all of the materials needed to make those 5 candles from my inventory. So I don't have to go in there and manually deduct anything, which really just makes life so much easier. So if you find yourself struggling to manage your inventory, I would definitely recommend checking out INVENTORA. I will have them linked down below in the description box. In this video, I'll be showing you how I'm currently doing my candle labels. I do have a video on my channel that I made a while ago showing how I design my labels. And I still do use that method for wax melts and room sprays and a few other things. But for my candles and my concrete decor items, I actually switched to a tie-on tag. And the main reason for that is that I wanted people to want to repurpose their jars. And I feel like having that candle label on there, the sticky one, and them trying to take it off and it leaving residue was just kind of a downside. So I switched to the tie-on tag. That way, when they're done burning the candle, they can easily take off the candle label and then reuse that jar for whatever they would like. This right here is canva.com, and this is what I use to design pretty much everything when it comes to my business, including business cards, social media posts, labels, candle care cards, everything. I love this website. It's so much fun to design on here. They do offer 2 different versions. They have a free and a pro plan. They also have this thing called Teams, where if you have a company with more than one person and you want everyone to be able to contribute to designs, you could use that one. But I have the Pro. It's $12.95 a month, and to me, it's definitely worth it. You get more access to elements and fonts, and you can also save your designs with a transparent background, which is primarily why I switched, because I do print a lot of stuff on craft paper and I needed to have that transparent background. So to me, the Pro is definitely worth it. But if you've never used Canva before and you just want to try it out, you can definitely just do the free version. They still have lots of great stuff on that version. So let's go ahead and create a mock label, and I'll just show you guys some of the things you can do on Canva. So we're going to go over here to create a design, and you can see they give a bunch of different suggested options. Which is really nice, because if you're going to, say, for example, create an Instagram post, you can just click on this and it will already be that perfect size for the Instagram post. So that is really cool that they do that. And they have a bunch of different options here, and you can search if you don't see what you're looking for. But we're going to go down here to custom size and click on that. And then we're going to go over here and change this to inches. It always just automatically comes up as pixels. So we're changing that to inches. And the label size that I was using for my candles was 2.5 by 1.25. And I've still been using that same size for these Cricut cutouts. So we're going to enter that in here. I personally like that size for my jars, but you can do whatever size you find works best. And then it will pull up our blank canvas here. And then on the left-hand side here, you can see all of these tabs. They're pretty self-explanatory for the most part. We have design, which has lots of different templates that you can choose from. We have elements where you can pick shapes and graphics, uploads, text, projects. These are all of my folders and all the designs that I have within those folders. photos, and then background. They just have lots of different things that you can look through. So let's go back up to elements, and the first thing that we need to do, since we're cutting this out on the Cricut, is add a shape, because the Cricut needs to know what it's cutting out. If we don't put a shape down first and then we just have text here and we go to print it on the Cricut is just going to start cutting around that text. So we need to have the shape down first, and what I like to use is the rounded square, just because I don't like to have the sharp edges on the label, but you can choose whatever shape you would like. I'm going to click on that and move it on over to the top left, and then drag it down so that it fills in our box completely. Perfect. And you can see it leaves a little bit of space in the corners where the Cricut is going to cut around that and round out the edge. Then the next thing we need to do is make our shape white. And I know that might be a little bit confusing because we are going to be printing this out on craft paper. So you might be thinking, well, if we make the shape white, isn't it going to print out white on the craft paper? No, it doesn't. And I'm not a Cricut master, so I don't know the reasoning behind it. But if you make your shape white, I think it almost acts as transparent to the Cricut. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's just what it seems like. So we're going to go ahead and make our shape white. But if you are doing a different kind of shape that has more room around the edges and you're worried that your text might go out of the lines, you can leave this colored and make your design, and then at the end have this white before you save it. So let's go ahead and make it white now, because we just have a little bit of space in the corners that I'm not worried about going out of the lines on. And then we can go ahead and add some text in here. So I'm just adding a text box, and I'm going to type Califia Candle Co. And I'm going to go ahead and move this up a little bit. And then you can see those pink lines when you're moving things around. Those are just kind of guides, so you know where the center is. This is dead center of the design. And then if you're moving it around, you still have those lines kind of coming up. So just nice to give you an idea if it's aligned correctly. So I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller. And then one thing that I like to do is create a little bit of spacing between the letters. So if you come over here to the spacing button where it says letter spacing, you can kind of play around with that. I'll just do 50 for now. And you can see it just lengthens the text a little bit. I personally just like the look of that. And we can change the font. And you will notice that some of these fonts have the little crown next to them, and that means they are just for the pro users. But they do have a lot of really great fonts for the free version, so pick any of these since this is just a little mock-up here. We'll do that one. And then I'm going to go over to Elements and let's search for some leaves. I like the line type drawings. They're a little bit more minimalistic and simple. So we'll search for line leaves. And one cool thing about the elements is if you click on one of these that you really like, it's going to recommend other similar drawings. So it keeps everything really cohesive. So if I click on this one right here, for example, and these magic recommendations pop up, you can see that these are really similar designs. So that's really nice. And you will also notice that some of these have the crown. So again, that's just for the pro users. Let's do this one there. I'm going to go ahead and move that more under our text. Perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste our text box and move it down below that. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, and we'll type in Ola Vista. And then I'm going to copy and paste that again. Make it a little bit smaller again. And we'll type in our scent notes here. So we have citrus, mango, and coconut milk. And then if you want to, you can group things together. So if you go up here to this More button and click on Group, now those two text boxes are grouped together. So if I click it to move it, they're both going to move together instead of having to move things individually. So we'll do that, and then I'm just going to grab everything here, make sure it's centered. Perfect. And then the last thing I'm going to put on here is two little circles on the sides, and that is for our twine to tie through. So I'm going to go back to our shapes and click on a circle. I'm going to make it smaller. It took me a little bit of trial and error to find the right size to do the circle. I'm just guessing here, but it needs to be big enough for the twine to fit through, but not too big. So it might take a little bit of trial and error to figure it out, but put those there. I'll make them black. And there we have it. Now we want to download our design so that we can upload it into the Cricut design space. So I'm going to come over here to Share and go down to Download. And we're downloading it as a PNG. And I always just drag this to 3. I don't know that it really makes a difference. And then I am going to click transparent background, even though we have that shape set as white. And you'll see why after this is downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And you can see that it is transparent in the corners, which is what we wanted. So that's why we clicked transparent background. And we just have that nice rounded edge. So I just opened a new canvas on my Cricut design space, and I'm going to go over here to upload and then upload image. And I'm just going to drag the file into it. And I always just click moderately complex. Continue. And then here you can see in the corners, it has that checkered background, which means that there is no background there, which is what we want because it's going to have those rounded corners. But we need to do the same for the little circles where the twine is going to go through. We need those to cut out. So all you have to do is click on them and it automatically removes those. So now the Cricut is going to cut around our shape and then also cut out these little circles as well. So we'll click apply and continue. And then this is going to be a print then cut image. Upload. And then now we have it here under our uploads. So we'll go ahead and click on it again and click add to canvas. And it's going to bring it up huge, so we have to resize it. So come up here to the dimensions and just click on this little lock, and then we'll type in 2.5 by 1.25. And then the one thing that I'll never understand about the Cricut is why you cannot place stuff on an 8.5 by 11 size space. You can only do, I think it's like 9.25 by 6.75 or something like that. So you end up with a lot of wasted paper, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. So I like to just copy and paste and make 2 by each other and then copy both of those, paste, and then keep going all the way down until we get to that cutoff down there. So I can usually fit about 12 of these on here. And there we go. And then we would just click make it. But I'm actually going to be showing you guys a demonstration of my actual candle tags being cut out because I didn't want to waste paper. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this design and then we'll continue with my actual labels. So I have some of my labels here. I'm going to click make it and we're going to replace that other design we had. So it gives you a view of how it's going to look on the mat. So we'll click continue. And then before we send it to the printer though, I do want to make sure I have my cardstock paper in there. I do have this particular kind linked in my Amazon storefront. And then we'll be able to send it to the printer. I always just turn off the bleed. And then after it's printed out, we'll go ahead and line it up on our green mat. It doesn't have to be perfectly lined because the Cricut will actually use that black line on the paper as its guide. We want to make sure that we're clicking medium cardstock for this particular paper, but you can set it to whatever kind of material you're using. And then I always change the pressure to more, just so it has a more thorough cut through that cardstock. Then we're going to go ahead and load our mat into the tray. It's going to give it a quick scan and then give us the go ahead to press that Cricut button. And then the cutting magic will happen. And it is really entertaining to watch. Once it's done cutting, we'll unload it. And then I typically just peel them off like this, but I know there's different ways you can do it. You'll notice that the little round dots weren't being left behind on the mat. Sometimes they do, usually they do, but for some reason on this paper they weren't. So I'm going to just take those off with my fingers, as you can see, which can be a little tedious, but not too big of a deal. And then this is the twine that I use. I do have it linked on my Amazon storefront. I had one previously that was a little bit thinner and I liked that better, but it went out of stock and then I could never find it again. So I'm using this one for now and it's fine. It's just a little bit thicker than I would like. So I have a pre-measured strand and I always just use that as my guide and cut a bunch usually at once and have them on hand. Now time to start feeding it through the label. So I feed it through the back so that the twine isn't covering the front of the label. And I kind of just go in a circle since I'm wrapping it around twice. It's a little bit hard to explain, but I was trying to do it slowly in this video so you guys could get a better idea of how I do it. So after I do the first wrap around, then I come back and do the same thing again, but leaving a loop because that is what's going to wrap around the candle. So there's that loop there. And as you can see, it feeds through the back of the label. So now I'm going to go ahead and loop it around my candle. Make sure it's where I want it to be. And then you can start pulling on the ends and it's going to tighten it around the jar. And then before I tie it off, I just like to make sure it is where I want it to be. And then I do a double knot to secure it. You can always do a bow if you'd like, but I just do a knot and cut off the excess. And that is basically it. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. I know it was requested a couple times for me to show how I do my labels. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, feel free to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.